Hello and welcome back to my Astronomy Nights. I'm Derek, and in this video we're going to take a look at what's available in the night sky throughout the month of July. The last few weeks have been really tricky for imaging and observing with those short bright nights around the summer solstice, but July is a really exciting month, and for me it's the beginning of the astronomy year. When you see the summer triangle and then we go towards Pegasus and Andromeda in the autumn, into Orion at the center of the winter constellations, and right around to springtime and galaxy season again. So if your telescope has been sitting idle for the last few weeks, it's a great time to bring it outside under the stars because there are some brilliant targets and events on offer. All the targets in this video I am familiar with and I've imaged, observed or sketched in the past, and if you're looking for a challenge this month, do stick around to the end of the video for my deep sky challenge for the month of July, a planetary nebula in the constellation of Aquila. But first up, let's begin closer to home with the solar system, beginning with the moon. The full moon of July is known as the Book Moon or the Hay Moon, and this falls on the 29th of the month, and we have new moon on the 14th, with last quarter on the 7th and first quarter on the 21st. Now the moon meets up with the planets on a couple of occasions throughout the month, which are really nice naked eye observations. It meets up with Saturn on the 7th and 8th, and this is a really good opportunity if you're starting out in the hobby and you're looking to spot Saturn for the first time. It'll just be 5 degrees away from it, which is about half the width of your fist at arm's length. And then it meets up with Mars and the Pleiades on the 11th. This is a really nice target to observe with binoculars or to get an image of. It's low on the horizon, but the moon is on that really late waning crescent phase, so it doesn't blow out the stars of the Pleiades when you're observing it, and Mars will be nearby as well, just a few degrees below the pair. On the 17th, just after sunset, the moon will meet up with Venus when it's in its really young crescent phase. This is really low on the horizon, so a tricky one to observe if you're in latitude similar to Ireland, around the 50-degree north latitude. But if you're in more of a southern location, it should be easier to spot, or if you're going on holidays to somewhere at the end of the month, this will be a really nice naked eye observation at the end of the evening. If you're looking to observe the surface of the moon this month, it's still quite low in the sky, but your best opportunity would be to observe the last quarter phase, which gets to about 30 or 40 degrees above the horizon. There's some really nice features as well around Oceania Procelium, Aristarchus Plateau, or you can have Reiner Gamma. These are really nice targets to observe on the moon's surface. Something else to keep an eye out for if you're out observing is the Noctilucent Cloud. This is a really lovely object to observe, and that's those high altitude icy clouds that the sun still lights up. From our vantage point, it's nighttime, but those clouds are so high in altitude that the sun is still shining straight on them, and we get this beautiful effect of bright clouds during the nighttime. You can see them on the horizon. They look a lot wispier than regular clouds, and they seem to move differently as well. You can see this video clip the way the regular clouds are moving past, but the Noctilucent Clouds are just sitting in position. I got a really nice display of them last year, but this year not as strong. But it's great to keep an eye out on them, and it's a lovely naked eye observation if you're out with your telescope. Let's move on to the planets now, and I'll begin with Mercury, which is really badly placed this month. It goes through inferior conjunction, but it does appear at the end of the month, but really close to the horizon just before sunrise. So it's not the best opportunity to observe it, and if you are going to try and spot it, do use your naked eye, because using any telescopes or binoculars that close to sunrise can be quite dangerous. It's much easier to observe Mercury after the sun has set at the other times of the year. Venus is shining bright at 4.1 magnitude, but it is getting quite low to the horizon from my vantage point. Even though it's increasing its distance away from the sun, it is staying that same low, about 5 to 10 degrees above the horizon as the sun sets. It's still a really lovely naked eye observation, but a little trickier with your telescope. Mars is coming back into view this month, which is really exciting, and it meets up with the moon and Uranus and the Pleiades this month, and it makes for a really nice naked eye observation. Or if you have binoculars or a telescope, you can see if you can pick up a little bit of that disk and that red hue. Its disk is still quite small because it's still a good bit away from opposition, which occurs at the start of next year, and it's only got about a size of 4.5 arc seconds. But this is very similar in size to the disk of Uranus, and it'll meet up with Uranus on the morning of the 4th of July. It'll be a really interesting observation to try, because they get with within 18 arc minutes of each other, which is really close. If you watched my video last month, those delta stars in Lyra have a separation of 18 arc minutes, so it will be very similar to that observation, and they will have those same little color textures of that turquoise of Uranus and the red of Mars, so it might make for a really nice observation. Plus you'll be able to put some magnification on it as well with them being so close. The last time they had a meetup that I was able to observe was about 5 years ago, and they were either side of the frame of a wide field 32mm eyepiece, so it'll be really nice to try them with a little bit more magnification. Jupiter isn't available this month to observe, but the other gas giant Saturn is really well placed and working its way back towards opposition. It has a size of about 17 arc seconds and it shines at a magnitude 0.8. The rings have opened out again after that crossing over of the rings on the center point, so it begins to get that 3D effect to it again in the eyepiece. It's a really lovely planet to observe, and if you haven't had a chance to observe it yet, this year it's going to get a really good elevation above the horizon for northern observers. Uranus I mentioned early on, and is still quite low to the horizon and lost in the sun, so it's not worth observing on its own, but it is worth having a look at that little conjunction with Mars if you get the chance. But the other ice giant Neptune is 10 degrees away from Saturn. It's actually leading those planets back into the sky, and it will reach opposition before those other planets. It is quite small, just has a size of about 2.3 arc seconds in diameter, and it's just under 8 magnitude. But if you have a telescope and you're observing Saturn, you could go 10 degrees to the west and try to pick out Neptune. So starting off in the deep sky, we're going to use the bright star Gamma Sagittae or Tellum, and this is in that small arrow-shaped constellation halfway between Albireo and Altair. This star is a red giant single star, but we're going to use it to find two Messier objects, M27 and M71. The first one is M27, and we create a little cross shape with 13, 14 and 12 Vulpeculae, and we're trying to look for that 14 Vulpeculae star, and just 20 arc minutes below it you'll find Dumbbell Nebula. This is a wonderful planetary nebula, the largest in Messier's catalogue, and it's quite bright as well. It's one of my favourite objects to observe in the night sky. It shines at magnitude 7.4 and it's quite large at 8 by 5.7 arc minutes, but you can bring more of that out in images as well and add some colour to it. It has some really interesting little features to it as well, including a central star which I've yet to observe, and it also has a variable star in it as well, known as the Goldilocks variable, and this was found by astronomer Leos Andra. And it's quite dim. It's a magnitude 14.3, but if you do image the Dumbbell Nebula, you should be able to pick it up. I have an image where it's quite faint, so I'm going to try again this month and get an image and compare the two of them to see if I can see more of the variability within that star. The next object then we're going to track down by using Gamma Sagittae is Messier 71, which is halfway between Gamma and Delta Sagittae. This is a small globular cluster in Messier's catalogue that was assumed to be an open cluster originally, but is now known to be a globular cluster. It has a diameter of 7 arc minutes and it shines at magnitude 8.4, so it is easy to pick up in your finder just halfway between those two stars. You'll notice that they're quite red, and it sits at 13,000 light years from us. When you're observing it, it has kind of a Y shape or a heart shape to the cluster itself, and you can compare this loose globular cluster to a tight open cluster in the constellation of Lyra, which is nearby, and this is NGC 6791. This is a really red old open cluster. It's one of the oldest open clusters in the Milky Way at 8 billion years, and you can find it in the constellation of Lyra. I only came across this in the last few months and tried observing it through the summer nights. It's very tricky in moonlight to track this one down, so maybe wait until new moon to try to pick it out against the background stars. To find it, you just have to move to the eastern side of the constellation of Lyra, and you're looking for the Theta and Eta stars, and it's just nearby to those if you continue that line to the southwest. We'll stay in Lyra for the next target, which is a pair of faint galaxies. You don't get many galaxies to observe in this region of the sky, so it's more of an interesting observation. Again, it's one of those observations I made during the last month, and this is NGC 6702 and NGC 6703, a pair of elliptical galaxies which are kind of thought to be a pair of galaxies in the sky, but they're also thought to be independent and just line of sight, with a distance between them of over 100 million light years. To find them, you need to go to the northern part of Lyra, and you're looking for two stars in the north of Lyra known as 13 and 16 Lyrae. If you find those two stars, you kind of make a triangle with them and you can spot it at the end there. There's one bright star nearby to the two galaxies, and it is known as HD 174367. It's a magnitude 8 star, so you should be able to pick that up in your finder scope when you're trying to locate these two galaxies. They are quite faint, so it's handy to use a new moon again to track down these two targets. NGC 6703 is the largest, closest and brightest of the two galaxies. It's a round elliptical with a diameter of about 2.4 arc minutes, and it shines at a magnitude of 11.4. It sits at about 88 million light years from us, whereas NGC 6702 is at a distance of 220 light years. That shines at a magnitude of 12.2, and it has a size of 0.6 by 1.4 arc minutes, so it is quite a small elliptical, but given that it's an elliptical you can see nearly all of that core, so it does stand out against the background stars. Next up, there's two objects in Hercules to track down. One of them is a galaxy and one a globular cluster, but both of them are quite small. The galaxy is 6207, and this is very close to the globular cluster of M13. It's just 20 arc minutes away to the north, and if you can get the globular cluster into your eyepiece and just move your eyepiece to the north, you'll be able to spot this little oval of the galaxy. It's quite bright and large, but it is kind of overshadowed by the size of the globular cluster. But you do need a large instrument to try to tease out that galaxy and see that little oval shape over just, say, a diffuse star look. The other object in Hercules then to track down would be NGC 6229, and this is the small globular cluster, or the third globular cluster of Hercules after M13 and M92. It's quite small, but you can track it down by using the four stars nearby, Sigma and Tau Herculis, and then there's two more stars parallel to them, which is 42 and 52 Herculis, and the globular cluster sits right in between those two stars. You can track it down quite easy. This was originally mistaken to be a planetary nebula because it's such a tightly knit globular cluster, but if you can put some magnification on it, you can tease out that shape, and it looks like a really small globular cluster with the two stars sitting to the side of it. This is a really distant object as well, which adds to the size being so small in the eyepiece, at 100,000 light years away, which is about 3 times that of M13. After looking at Gamma Sagittae nearby to those Messier objects, another star in this location that's always worth a visit is Albireo, that wonderful double star that you can observe with those contrasting colours of the blue and orange stars. The main star is a giant orange star, and it has the smaller blue companion. The main component of Beta 1, that's the one that has most of the magnification at a 3 magnitude star, whereas that blue component of Beta 2 is just about magnitude 5. But it's a wonderful pair to observe, and it's still unknown whether it is an optical double or if it's a physical binary pair that are on a really slow orbit around each other. It's at a distance of about 385 light years, and I think in something like 4 billion years it becomes one of the brightest stars in the night sky in the northern hemisphere. But at the moment it shines at magnitude 3 and is known as Beta Cygni, even though it is the 5th brightest star within that constellation. It's always worth a view, and if you can put some magnification on it, it's a really pleasing observation to make that split. The two stars have a split of about 35 arc seconds, which show up really well at magnification, and when you take down that glare of the stars, you can really see that deep colour of the yellow and blue contrast between the two of them. Next up, we'll move to the north and towards the constellation of Draco and look for the Draco Triplet of galaxies nearby to the bright star Edesic. They're just about 1.8 degrees east-northeast of this bright star, and they're a small grouping of 3 galaxies. Where the Leo Triplet, you'll be struggling to get it into a wide field eyepiece. These three just take up about the space of 20 arc minutes, which is quite small, just about the length of the hamburger galaxy altogether for the three, when you're trying to figure out how big they should look in your eyepiece. The brightest of the three is the center galaxy NGC 5982. This is an elliptical galaxy with a bright core. And then we have NGC 5981 being the dimmest of the three, which is an edge-on galaxy, but it does show up with averted vision. And then the last galaxy, NGC 5985, is a spiral galaxy, which can show some of that detail, but it's mostly visible in a long exposure photograph. With your eye, you're just about getting a little hint of that spiral structure because the galaxy is so small. Staying in the north, we're going to move across to Cassiopeia and look for the open cluster of Messier 52. This is one that I recently imaged and observed, and it's a really nice open cluster. It reminds me a lot of Messier 67 or M11, the Wild Duck cluster, and it's a really nice target, and it's one that I hadn't observed before. Just because there are so many clusters in Cassiopeia, I hadn't gotten around to Messier 52. This is really worth tracking down. It's not a giant one, but you can fit it in really well with a bit of magnification. Kind of like Messier 67, it's in Cancer. You can put some magnification, get it into a small field of view, and it shows up really well. The stars are really nice blue tinted stars throughout the cluster. This is one of the discoveries by Charles Messier, and it's just about 5,000 light years from us, with a diameter of about 7 arc minutes, and it's quite bright, shining at a magnitude of 6.9. The whole cluster itself has a diameter of about 24 light years in real terms, at that distance of 5,000 light years from us. My deep sky challenge for the month of July is a planetary nebula in the constellation of Aquila, known as NGC 6781. It has the nickname of the Snowglobe Nebula, and also has the nickname of the Ghost of the Moon Nebula by Stephen James O'Meara, and this is a really wonderful target to try to track down. It's quite faint. It has a magnitude of 11.4 for a planetary nebula, and it's quite large as well, with about 1.7 arc minutes in diameter. This planetary nebula looks like an incomplete circle when you're observing it, almost a flattened side to it, hence the nickname the snow globe, but it looks like the letter C when you pick it up initially, and then you can start to tease out some of that fainter nebulosity around it. This was a tricky observation to make. I spent multiple nights last year trying to observe and sketch this one, and I just got the live view image this year, and I'm looking forward to getting my RGB set up on it throughout July and August to get a proper image, because it's a really wonderful looking planetary nebula. To track it down, you just need to find that central star in Aquila of Delta Aquilae, and then you want to go on that line towards Zeta, just about a third of the way there, and you'll pick it up in your eyepiece. It is very faint, you won't pick it up in your finder scope, but if you use your eyepiece and just search around a little, you'll see that faint haze in averted vision first, and then you can start training your eye in on the object and maybe adding some magnification. My first time observing it, I stayed at more of a wide kind of low power setup on it, and then the next couple of nights I could add a little bit of magnification to tease out a little bit more detail, but it's a really wonderful target to try to observe. So if you observe this or any of the other objects in the July video, do let me know in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for me to observe over the next couple of months, I'd love to hear from you. I'm always looking for new targets to observe or image or sketch, and it's just a really nice hobby to keep busy with. And hopefully the weather plays ball throughout the month of July and you can all get back out under the stars. Until next time, thanks so much for watching, and clear skies.